everybody, welcome back to Deep Pact. In Lesson 5, we introduce loops, one of the most powerful concepts in programming. Loops allow your program to repeat actions automatically without writing the same code over and over again. What is a loop? A loop instructs the computer to repeat a block of code as long as a certain condition is true. This lets us read multiple values, perform repetitive tasks, simulate events, count, generate patterns, and much more. Before coding, we have to totally understand this statement. So let's begin with one of the most common loops. So for int I equals 1, I less or equal to 5, I plus plus. I want to system.out.println count plus I. Let's run this. So this for loop has three components. Initialization. Int I equals 1. The loop starts with I at 1. Condition I less or equal to 5. The loop runs as long as this is true. And update I++. After each iteration, we increase I by 1. This loop prints number from 1 to 5. Now, let's write int I equals with 10, I greater or equal to 1, I minus minus, and then system.out.println just I. Let's run this. As you see, this counts backwards from 10 to 1. The structure of the loop stays the same, only the numbers change. Now let's proceed to the while loop. The while loop runs as long as the condition is true. Use while when you don't know in advance how many times the loop will run. So let's say int x equals 1. While x minus or equal to 5, then system.out.println x equals plus x and x plus plus. Now let's run this. While is great when the number of repetitions depends on logic, user input, or challenging conditions. Let's now see the do-while loop. A do-while loop is similar to a while loop, but it runs at least once, even if the condition is false. So it's like int c equals with 10, then do system.out.println plus c++ while c less than 5. So even though c is less than 5, uh, even though c is less than 5 is false, at the start the loop executes the block once before checking the condition. So how are you going to choose the right loop? You need this mindset. One, use for when you know exactly how many repetitions you need. Use while when repetition depends on a condition that changes over time. Use do while when the code inside must run at least once. So keep this in mind. Now, let's proceed to loop control. Break and continue. We already saw break keyword while we were learning about switch statements. Now, let's see this example. Less or equal to 10, I plus plus. If I equal 5, then break. System.out.println I. Break stops the entire loop immediately. So as you see, when I equals with 5, the loop just breaks. Similarly, equals to 10, I plus plus. If I mod 2 equals 0, then continue. And system.out.println I. Continue skips the current iteration and moves to the next one. Here we skip, for example, the even numbers. There are also nested loops. Loops inside loops are extremely common for grids, tables, and matrix operations. So for example, let's say that we have int row equals 1, row less or equal to 3, row plus plus. Then for int call equal 1, call less or equal to 3, call plus plus. Then I want to system out that println that plus row plus comma and then I just want to print only an empty new line. If I run this, you can clearly see how the iteration works. So first we are row 1 to 1 to column 1, then 1 to 2, then 1 to 3, and again for 2 and then for 3. So summing numbers with loops. Let's say int sum equals 0 for int I equal 1, I to 100, I plus plus. Then sum equal to I. System.out.println sum of numbers 1 to 100 equals and the sum. Let's run this. So, loops allow us to accumulate values, process sequences, and analyze data. This is one of the most common uses of loops in real applications. And now let's discuss some very common mistakes with loops. So, mistake number one, while x less than 5, then do something like print a new line. Which is our mistake here? We forgot to increment the x. And if you don't add this line, the while loop is going to run till infinity without stopping. The condition never changes, so the loop never ends. Let's proceed to common mistake number two of pi1 errors. So let's say we have 4 and int I equals 1, I less than 5, I plus plus. This stops at 4, not, oops, sorry, at 4, not at 5. Mistake number 3. Beginners often use while when a simple for loop is clearer. Choose the loop that expresses your intention best. Mistake 4. Int I equals 0. While I less than 10, then int j equals 0, j plus plus. Now, what's the problem? Hmm, we are updating j instead of I. So let's recap. Today we learned how repetition works in Java, the for loop, the while loop, the do while loop, loop control with break and continue, nested loops, summing values with iteration, common mistakes that beginners make. Loops form the backbone of automation in programming. Every real project uses them. So, in lesson 6, we move to arrays, how to store multiple values in a single variable, how loops work with arrays, and how to iterate through collections. So, until next time, see you!